Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm working on, honestly, probably my favorite piece during Inktober this year so far. It has a few of my favorite things to work on and to draw, so it was really fun to be able to work on that. And it came at a pretty good time. I find that there's a point in every Inktober that I do where I start running out of energy and motivation, and pretty much anything artistic in my brain is gone. So this came at, like I said, the perfect time to get myself a little bit more excited and energized about doing a piece every single day of October. So yeah, I'll definitely talk about some of the things I really enjoyed putting in this piece and drawing, since I think it's really important to keep track of the things that you actually get a lot of joy and the things that are really fun to work on, because then you can use them specifically as you go forward. I like balancing out when I use things that I know without a doubt I'm just going to really enjoy, and when I try to push myself and explore things that I would like to be good at, but I haven't got a lot of practice in. So I think this is a good balance of, I've done a lot of environments lately, so now I can reward myself with some of these little things that I love to draw. And just a quick reminder, all of my Inktober originals are available. So this one's available at my shop. There's a link down in the description. And I know I don't actually have an official date yet, but I just want to remind you guys again that I'll be publishing an Inktober book through Kickstarter this year, just like last year. And I'll let you guys know as soon as you can start signing up for that. But let's go ahead and jump right in. So I know we're already totally past this point, but I want to talk a bit about the texture that I got in the background layer of this painting. So every time I feel like I've really earnestly tried to figure out and learn these really textured ink washes or watercolor washes or whatever I'm working with that day, I find that I'm learning quite a bit more on how to control it, but make it look uncontrollable, and how to get the results that I really want to get, but haven't learned how to do that yet. So I feel like with this one, I really took a pretty big step in the right direction. So what I did is I did a wet on wet technique. So that's where I got the whole area wet first. And then rather than going in with kind of a middle ground value, I actually went in one with an ink wash that was a little bit darker than I wanted, and straight water. And I used those very carefully. So I laid the really dark ink wash down in specific areas, and then I just kind of drug it through the water that was already there a little bit more. And then I used the clear water and I dropped it on top of that darker ink, and that displaced it and pushed it around. So ultimately it ended up where some areas were more dark and others were that medium value that I wanted, and others were much lighter. So I had a lot of variation, but overall the value that it reads as is the value that I wanted. And I found that that was exactly what I was hoping for. I find that a lot of times I overwork it when I'm mixing it, so it ends up being kind of this homogeneous neutral rather than having darks and lights, which is really what I want. I want to push the separation of the values or the colors or whatever I'm working with. And I also find that notice that I tend to go in right away with that like main value that I want it to be. And by doing that, it just ends up blending together quite a bit in the drawing process. And then it doesn't have nearly as much texture because it just started all the same anyway. So I was really, really happy with the background texture and how it actually ended up looking a lot more textured, which is exciting. But I want to talk a little bit about kind of the overall thing that I wanted to give myself in this piece. And I mentioned a little bit earlier where I wanted this piece to have things that I would just enjoy working on, that would give me a little bit of a boost of energy. So I find that when I'm working on a big project like Inktober, or a big string of assignments in class when I had class, that can be really draining. And it's hard to stay the same level of motivated throughout the whole process. There's going to be times where, at least for me, I feel a very strong dip in that because I'm working really hard on creating artwork, but I'm not working on refilling that bank of ideas or knowledge or inspiration or whatever you want to call it. I'm just working on cranking things out. And because of that, I tend to feel very exhausted with the art creation process. And a lot of those times I'm working on new things, which is exciting and wonderful to learn them. But at the same time, it can be very draining, again, because every project or every piece that I'm working on can feel like I'm starting from scratch all over again. And I find that when I can incorporate pieces like this, where they sit a little bit stronger to the things that I naturally love doing, I've done a lot of, so they feel a little bit more connected to where I'm coming from, and then I can just focus on enjoying it and getting the execution correct. I find that those do so much for my motivation and my desire to continue working on my pieces. So I do really recommend that if you're feeling really drained with your Inktober project or any other project, try to look at it and figure out what's something that I know that I'll enjoy. I can't help but enjoy, and then give that to yourself. So some of the things that I really loved working on in this piece is actually all the little details. I love drawing like little objects, like that little teapot. I I absolutely adored drawing it. I loved inking it. It was just really fun for me to work on that, even though it's a little bit on the small side, but that's all right. I just kind of imagine that it's like a magic teapot, and it's just pouring from like this never-ending source of tea. But that was one thing that I really loved, and I loved creating this new character that would be incorporated into the story. I was feeling a little sick of just drawing the same couple of characters, which was really important for the whole project that I wanted to create. So that was necessary, but it was nice to be able to create a new character and focus on her a little bit more. And I really actually love drawing pillows. This is not the last time that I'll be drawing pillows in this project, but I love drawing them. I love looking for different textures and patterns that I can put on them and different shapes that they can have. It's just a really fun process for me to be able to build up these piles of pillow that someone's sitting on. Probably because I wish that I had like a whole room full of pillows, but yeah, I absolutely loved this one, and it felt really encouraging because I was having a lot of negative feelings about me as an artist and whether I can actually enjoy art. I know Inktober can just really get to you when you're just cranking away at things, but getting back to a piece like this, it just feels really good. It feels good to do something that feels good. I know, surprising. But I would love to hear from you guys. What are some challenges that you're dealing with, whether it's Inktober or any other project, and what are the ways that you've worked through that or given yourself a little boost? Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear how basically your Inktober projects are going. But yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling a lot better after this one, which is exciting because I've actually already sketched out the next piece, which is the same character and the main character still in her home. So it's a different setting, but the same feeling of stuff that I get to draw. So I'm already just really excited to dive into tomorrow's piece, which is not a feeling I've had for a while during Inktober, so that feels really good to have something to look forward to and to feel ready for it. And as strange as it is, I think probably one of my favorite things that I actually liked working on in this were actually the shadows on her dress. I don't know what it was, but maybe it's because I just really like the shape that they made, but it was not at all premeditated somehow. And I just started putting down the shapes of her shadows. It just kind of ended up coming together in a way that I thought was really dynamic, very accidentally, but I don't know. I think that it was like this weird moment where I feel like I got a little bit better at painting in shadows on clothing without even intending to. I don't know. I liked how it turned out, and I think I also really liked that it was dark enough. I've been kind of struggling the balance between the value of the shadows on top of the objects that I've been painting, especially with these ink washes. But although I have to say, maybe it's more to do with it's a little bit more obvious in values, which is, I think, very helpful because I can see it clearly, and hopefully I can take some of those things that I'm beginning to learn now and apply them to when I'm using colors in watercolor, where I can pay attention to the things that are a little bit more obscured. Because when you're using colors, your eyes are looking at the values, but also the colors. So it can be a little bit more confusing when you're viewing it. But when you're looking at just the values, it's a lot easier to immediately see whether it's working or not on a value level. So I don't know. I think at least in that case, I got a little bit better at it. There are other places that I certainly could get a better grasp on how to make sure that the values and the local color and the highlights, they're all working well together. But but I will take my victories where I can find them. And that is it for today. I do have this original painting available at my art shop. There's a link at the top of the description that'll take you right over there. I also have a link to my Patreon, which is a great place to get extra Inktober content this month. I have videos uploaded on Mondays and Fridays that are exclusive for my patrons over there. So again, there's a link right down there. There's also a link to my Twitch where you can come watch me live stream some of my Inktobers. But again, that's it for today right here. I do upload Wednesdays and Saturdays for Inktober, so I will see you guys next Wednesday.